After over 10 years of living in Southeast Asia now, the one question that I always get asked is, would I ever move back to the USA for any reason? And the short answer is yes. But if I did, and it would be only under certain reasons, my life would look completely different than it ever did when I was living in the US prior. And that is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. What would it take for me, and probably most expats, to make a move back to their home country, in particular for me, the US, and how would my life be different this time around if I, for instance, had to move back to the US? Stick around and we're going to talk about it.
I'm tired of waiting here, same four walls, same fading year. Got these plans stuck in my head, Southeast Asia calling me instead. Bangkok nights in Bali shores.
If you've been following my channel for a while, well, you know I didn't leave the US by accident. I ended up with a job opportunity in the Philippines, and then ended up working in Vietnam, back to the Philippines, Thailand, even spent 3 months in Kenya. And so most of you probably know a little bit about my backstory. But, I left because I got a job opportunity. I wanted a better quality life, lower cost of living, less stress, more freedom, better weather. I didn't want to deal with harsh winters anymore. And after years of living in places like the Philippines, Vietnam, and now Thailand, I can honestly say that this lifestyle fits me. But that doesn't mean I would never go back to live, that is. To visit, yes, I usually go back at least once per year, sometimes twice per year now. So let's start off with the biggest reason, and that would be family. Now, if one of my sons were to get terminally ill or a serious injury, leaving them crippled or something, then yes, I would be on the next plane back for that situation. And that's the reality of living abroad, is you're choosing a distance, quite a distance from family. And sometimes that distance matters, but that would probably be the number one reason for myself, and probably most expats out there, they probably would be same thing. I've known more expats who've had for example, a mother or father get really ill and they had to go back to take care of them or something like that. And that seems to be the biggest reason. But you know what? What would life look like for me back in the US if I did move back? Well, it would be completely different than how I live here, and it would be completely different from when I lived back in the US prior. I definitely wouldn't go back to the typical lifestyle there. I'm not going back to high stress, crowded cities, and high cost. And it's kind of funny because I live in a big city, but it's with low cost. But I like this city. But to back in the US, as far as a big city, no, that wouldn't be ideal for me at all. That's exactly why I left, because I didn't want high stress and high cost of living and, other things as well. If I ever return, it would be completely different. It would be off-grid or close to it. Probably a tiny home. I've gotten used to living in small condos, and honestly, the size of my living space really doesn't matter that much anymore. Now, I don't want micro small where I don't even have room to think, but I want just decent size. I mean, this is about 40 square meters, and it's perfectly fine, no problem whatsoever. I would want something small, a tiny home, no neighbors around, surrounded by nature, quiet, space, and peace. Because that's what I have learned matters most to me. Now, ironically, again, I live in a big city like Bangkok, but for right now, it really suits me. At some point, I may want to go off to some small city, but as of right now, I like this. And again, that lifestyle, if I went back to the US, it would be more the lifestyle, not the country of how I would want to live. Now, another factor would be healthcare and VA benefits. Now, I've had great experiences overseas, here in Thailand, Malaysia, the medical, Philippines, not so much. When I was in Kenya, not as much either. So if something seriously happened to me where I I would also think about wanting to be around family to help take care of me also. And there is some advantages to US specialized health care. And it would be the support system that I would have as well. And for me personally, with VA benefits, well, it would just make sense. There's just certain situations that being back in the US makes sense. Again, with my VA benefits and my sons to help me out if something ever happened. So if I ever had a major health issue, that probably would definitely bring me back. Next one, I suppose, would be legal or financial reality. Then there's the practical side of life. Legal situations, paperwork, taxes, banking. Now, probably for me, that would not require a move back, but it would probably require me to go back and take care of it, perhaps. Sometimes you just have to physically be in the US to take care of these things. It's just a lot easier. Sometimes when you have to take care of things overseas, it can be kind of a headache with the time difference, making phone calls, trying to mail packages, receive packages. It can be a little time consuming, and certainly things can be handled faster while you're there in the US. And also, if there was ever a financial opportunity that just made sense, I probably wouldn't ignore that either. Also, life changes. Like if I was in a relationship where moving back just made sense, not marriage, or, if future plans required it, that's something I would consider too, but because nothing is permanent. But with all of that being said, why am I still here? Well, because for me, the quality of life is just much better. Less stress, more freedom, lower cost of living, and honestly, more peace. I'm not caught in that daily grind anymore. And once you experience that, it's hard to go back unless there's a real reason to live, that is, to go and visit. In fact, I have a trip coming at the end of May, beginning of June. I'll be heading back to the US for, I always fly with like a one-way ticket. I don't plan my return ticket back. I don't like to travel like that. I know sometimes you end up paying a little bit more because you don't have the round-trip ticket, but that's how I like to travel. And speaking of tiny homes and off-the-grid living, one of my sisters has actually chosen that lifestyle now. She got herself one of those small little homes. I mean, it's small. In fact, when I go back, I'll see if she lets me film it. I think she'll be okay with it. But she has a 128 square foot home, and that is extremely small. But she's surrounded by nature, and she is happy as can be. She's in Tennessee. She moved to Tennessee. And she just loves the nature. She's got a garden. And, she's happy as can be. She loves it, absolutely loves it. And so actually, when I go back this time, I'll be visiting my sons. And I think one of my sons and my mom will go with me. We'll take a road trip to Tennessee and go visit my one sister. And I'll see if I can film that house for you. But she's went off the grid. She loves it, absolutely loves it. She doesn't have neighbors. She doesn't have noise. She just, her in a small home in tiny nature. And she's absolutely happy with it. But, here's something that most people won't tell you, and that is living abroad doesn't have to be permanent. It's not like once you move, that's it, it's forever. And maybe it probably shouldn't be. You should always have options. You should always have a backup plan, just in case. For a lot of people, for me, like my backup plan was the Philippines just started to, well, I've done the video, A Death by a Thousand Cuts. And for me, it wasn't at that point of life where I said, you know what, time to go back to the US. No, for me, it was like, well, time to go try out another country in Southeast Asia. And here I am in Thailand. So far, happy as can be. I like it. Sure, there are some things that aren't perfect. It's hot as hell sometimes here. It really is. I miss the weather in Kenya, which was very cool and moderate. But there's other things I didn't like. There's no perfect place I've discovered. So for now, I'm quite happy here. But a backup plan is always good to have because life can change fast. So again, in closing, would I ever move back to the US? Yes, but only under the right circumstances, and even then, it wouldn't be the same life I left behind. It would be something much simpler, quieter, more intentional. But for right now, I'm exactly where I want to be. But if life calls me back, I'll go. No hesitation. So let me know in the comments if you are living abroad or you are thinking about it. Would you ever move back home? What would it take for you to move back home? Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. And I will see everyone in the next video. Ciao.
Got these plans stuck in my head. Southeast Asia calling me instead. Bangkok nights and Bali shores. Sick of dreaming, want something more. Pack your bags, don't hesitate. Geo, let's go before it's too late. Time keeps slipping away from us. Keep living like